Hi, it's Jason again, and the last time we were together, we built the baddest ass cargo system on the planet. But today, we're going to turn this basket into this wagon. So the first thing we're going to do is open the box. Maybe the first thing you should have done is sharpen your knife. There we go. Now, here's a QR code for an installation, a PDF installation guide. You're never going to read it. Your wheels, they'll need air. There's a hardware pack in here. And then some aluminum parts. Now, just like we did when we built the rucRak together, I want you to take all the hardware and dump them out of the bag. Maybe not. Okay, so as you see, I've laid out my hardware according to part number where I can get to it really good. And tools I'm going to need: 1/2-inch wrench, 2 9/16 wrenches, the 7/32 Allen head that's in your rucRak kit. Hope you didn't throw it away. Or I'm going to be using my Allen head ratchet and a good old pair of pliers. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this basket off. Now, if you're building this in conjunction with building your rucRak, you won't have to do that. Skip to the next step. We're going to take this basket off and replace some stuff on it so you can skip to the next step. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these. We're going to remove the basket first. And the easiest way to do that is to put your 7/32 Allen in there, remove the nuts right here, all 4 of them, and leave this in, and it'll all pull off. Now, I've gotten all 4 of these nuts off on both sides. Basket comes off. You're going to want to keep these, especially you people that have bike rack kits, because you're going to need them. So hold on to these. Next step, we're going to remove these 4 screws. The next thing to do is we're going to take all 4 of these screws out using the Allen head 7/32 Allen wrench that came in your rucRak kit, or I have one, a regular one. Now, we're going to replace those with part number 423. And as you can see, these are machined, and they have a little machine space in there. And we're going to show you how this works here in just a minute. But just replace all 4 of them with these. And it's kind of going to have to start twice, because you're going to start it the first time, and then you're going to get through that little space, and it's going to want to start again. So you have to be careful here and not cross thread it. If you cross thread it, don't call me. Now, this doesn't have to be gorilla tight, just good and snug. Just good and snug. All right? And we're going to do that times 4. Now, we've got all of those in. So, let's see what the next step is on the instruction manual you're not going to read. Oh, cool. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how this is going to work first. So here's what we're going to do. These little gadgets right here are the slide locks. Okay? Now, if I can get my cameraman to come around here, I want you to see them from my perspective here. You see how that's going to work there? That's open. That allows you to take the basket off, or wagon off. And this is closed. That keeps it from coming off when you're going down the road. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this piece on these triangles here so that they stay on. Alright, so that's the next step. So then we're going to take part number 424 and we're going to put 2 of these nylon washers here on here. Okay? And then we're going to screw them in here. Okay? There's number 1. There's number 2. Right here. Now, just screw them in gently. Good and finger tight. Because I want you to make sure that you have a good feeling about where that is and that this slides back and forth with a little bit of resistance on it. You want just a little bit of resistance on this. Then we're going to take them out and we're going to put some thread locker on here because do not lose these. And the way that we're not going to lose these is we're going to put a little dab of thread locker on there, like that, and then we're going to put it back in the hole. We're going to do it finger tight, and then we're going to give it about an 1/8 of a turn here. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. A little dab will do you here. Put this back on. Thread that in the hole. Finger tight. And then about 1/8 of a turn. And that's good and stiff. And work it back and forth a couple times, just like that. So that you know it's good to go. And we're going to back off a little bit. I think this one's just a little tight. There's a little bit of finesse in this because you want these knobs to be tight enough to stay once the thread locker sits. But you want just enough to move this slide back and forth. And I think we got it here. Okay? And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So now we can flip this over, and while it's drying, we can leave it just like that. Now, see where those pins drop in that we put in the basket? That's open. Okay? That's closed. See that? We can put it in the gear and it's locked in. And see, up here, up top here, they're locked in that little groove. Okay? And check on these, because this is important right here. It's the most important part about this. Now, let that thread locker set up just like that, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now that both sides are in, you can flip them back over, and you can see where you just put those screws. And as you see, I've put a little dab of thread locker in the top of those holes there, just to make sure that I don't lose those thumb screws. Now, the next step you're going to do is we're going to add another one of these. You're going to find an extra pack in your rucWagon of these. And you're going to want to add one of these to the kit there. So you're going to take the small Allen that you had from your from your rucRak kit. You're going to loosen this just a little bit, because we're going to put one of these in here, and one of these we're going to just leave hanging, and then we're going to tighten this back up. And I'll tell you why here in just a few minutes. Because this is going to secure some other stuff. Now remember, you don't want to over tighten this because it's a pivot point. You want it just tight enough to get through the nylon up there. And you want to kind of test it and make sure that's probably a little loose. We can tighten on down on that a little bit more. Okay, do that on both sides. Put these on there. Okay, next step, we're going to put the rear axle mount on here. So the first thing you want to do is figure out which is the rear and which is the front. I'm using the driver's side as the rear, so I'm going to turn it around to me. Then you're going to need this plate right here. Then you're going to need part numbers 211, 212, 426, 428, and 429. Okay? Now, this is going to be fairly simple. What we're going to do is we can get some of these out. This, if you want to come around here, this gets a washer. And this gets a washer. And this one goes in here. This one goes in here, and these go in the top holes. Okay? Washer. Washer. By the way, quick tip here. You know, washers, flat washers are side concentric. You see how that side is dull and that side is shiny? This side has a tiny little lip on it that catches on whatever you're tightening. This side does not. That side goes out to the bolt. That side goes to the metal. Okay? Then we're going to take part number 428, which are the nuts. And we're going to screw those on. Yes, I know that it doesn't hit the nylon. Don't panic. It'll be alright. You can get in my pocket. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to, for the bottom ones, we're going to do something a little special here. We're going to put that lanyard on there first, and then we're going to put the nut in, and then we're going to put that on there, and we're going to put the washer on, and we're going to put the nut on. That way, we're going to take one of these pins here, thread it on, and it's going to hold our axle in. Okay, and the same thing on the other side. So pin, lanyard, part number 426. Lanyard on the bolt, just like that. Shiny side towards the bolt. Let's make it look cool and clock the lanyard that way. Then we're going to put another washer on. And then we're going to put another nut on. And now we can tighten all of those up. And now the next step is to work on the front axle. Now we're going to flip this around to the other side, and we're going to mount the front axle. And the front axle has this little stopper up here, and you'll see what all of this is about here in a minute, but we're just going to mount it first. And it doesn't have any lanyards on it, but you are going to use some different bolts up top because this is a little thicker up top for the stop. So that's part number 427. So we'll do that one first, but we'll use the same washers and the same nuts as we did before. Part number 429. And like I said, 427 goes up top like that. If you want to come around here and let's show that. So it's going to go in the top two holes right here. Like that. Washer on the back. Nut. Nut. Then we're going to go back to part number 426, and those nuts will go in the bottom with the washers. So there, washer, washer, and then we're going to tighten those up. Now, the front axle mount is now on. Alright, so now we're going to put a little air in the tires, and they don't need a lot at all. See, that's already too much. Let's check the gauge. We don't need but 2 or 3 pounds in it. And we've already got, oh, that's 12. These things don't need a lot of air at all. You want to be able to squeeze these things when you're filling them up. And don't over inflate them, or you'll be buying some more, and they're not cheap at all. But the goal is to get 2 or 3 pounds of pressure in each one of these so that they're all about the same size. Just like that. Put the caps back on and do all 4 like that. So now we're going to mount the wheels here to the front axle, and we're going to use part number 422, 424, 205, and 207. So part number 422 here is the actual wheel axle itself, and it's going to go right here. Now, it's going to go from the inside out. So I'm going to mount this right here so that we can get them mounted on correctly. Slide it out a little bit. What goes on next is these nylon washers here. And I told you wrong. I'm sorry. Back up just a little bit, and we're going to put part number 207 on here, and then we're going to put this in. Okay. Then we're going to put this new little nylon washer 424 in on top of that. We're going to slide our wheel on, but make sure you're sliding it on with the valve to the outside. Okay. And then we're going to use another one of these nylon washers here and put it on the outside. And then we're going to use part number 205, a little nut for this. I'm going to put it on the end here. Now this is where it's going to take a little bit of feeling here. So what you want to do is you want to tighten this down so that the wheel kind of has a little bit of resistance. So we're going to tighten it down. Just feel some resistance there, and see that's almost perfect. In fact, we can turn it around, you can probably tighten it another half a turn and it'll be all right. But you want that wheel to have just a little bit of resistance in it, like that. And do the same procedure on the other side. Okay, now remember the pins we did here on the rear axle? We're going to pull those out. We're going to take this as the rear axle. I'm going to drop it right down in there and put the pins in it. Okay, and then we're basically going to repeat the same steps we did for the front axle. So we got washer, bolt, then nylon washer, then wheel, then nylon washer, and then nut again, and then the same procedure applies here. Just tighten it down till you get a little resistance on that wheel when it spins. Okay, and the same thing on the other side. Okay, we're almost there. So the last thing we're going to do is install the handle mounts, and that's these little things. Note, these will not work if you're going to use this as a bike rack also. So if you're using it as a bike rack, don't put these on and store your handle somewhere else. But I'm going to show you where you can store it here. So we're going to put this on the front of the rucRak, facing away from the vehicle, and you're going to have some of these 426s left, and that's exactly what we're going to use, the 429 washers. So we're going to do this. Actually, you want to put it like that. It doesn't really matter, but then that one's going to go in there. Now, because these holes have been powder coated, it may take you actually screwing them in to work. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to screw them into these holes. Now, what you have left is the handle and this little pin here, and the handle's going to just slide right through there, and it'll lock itself in with that pin. And then when you want to use it, you pull it back out, you take the same pin, and you put it right through here, and there you go. So now we're going to show you how all of this works. Now remember, the 4 pins that we put in here, the machine screws we put in here, are now going to fit right there in those 4 holes. Okay? And you always want, when you're taking it on or off, you want those pins back in, because you don't want these to flop around or it will not act right. So if you put those pins in when you're taking it on or off, it will do exactly like you want. And then to lock it in, you pull that pin out one side at the time. You pull it forward, okay? And then you're going to put it right back in the hole there. And now that can't go anywhere. It's locked. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side here. We're going to lock it in, put our pin back in. The slide can't go anywhere. The basket can't go anywhere. And now you can store your handle. Now, If you've got stuff on the rack and you want to take off down the road, you can simply pull these pins, rotate this at a 90-degree angle, and now you're up off the road. And then on this side, that's what this stop is for. So we're going to pull our cotter pin, we're going to turn it all the way upside down. You see it doesn't rotate now. We're going to put our pin back in, and now we can take off down the road. Now, if you want to fold it all the way up, simply pull these two pins, fold it back up. You're going to want to put, this is why we put two pins on here, because the next pin we're going to put in the home position, and we're going to lock that thing in right there. Now that's technically the bike position. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Home. And then up here. Now, it's never going anywhere. I work with a local company here to provide all of my decals. Accelerated Graphics, thank you very much. And so don't forget to put your snazzy rucWagon decal on so everybody will know that you have the coolest wagon on the planet.